You've probably heard this story before, the miraculous catch of fish. It seems pretty simple on the surface, right? But what if it isn't just a story about a lot of fish? What if it's actually a coded message about power and maybe even about purpose? Well, that's what we're going to get into today.
So let's start with the big idea that's going to guide us through this whole thing. What if a miracle wasn't just a random flash of power, but something designed, a carefully constructed message meant to tell us something huge? Keep that question in the back of your mind as we go.
To figure this out, we've got to go back in time. So let's put ourselves on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. There's a group of fishermen there, and they are at the absolute end of their rope. They've been working all night long, and let's just say bad day at the office doesn't even begin to cover it.
I mean, really picture this. These guys are pros. This isn't a weekend hobby for them. This lake is their livelihood. And they've spent the entire night, which is supposed to be the best time for fishing, and have come up with nothing. Not a single fish. Zero. This isn't just bad luck, it's a total crushing failure in their own area of expertise.
Okay, so let's walk through what happens next. You start with that scene of complete failure. Then Jesus, a carpenter, not a fisherman, shows up and tells these experts how to do their job. And his command, to go out into deep water in broad daylight, is literally the opposite of what any experienced fisherman would do. But for some reason, they do it. And the result? It's not just a few fish. It's a boat-sinking, net-breaking, reality-bending haul of fish. This is way beyond luck. Something is happening here.
And just look at Simon Peter's reaction. This is so telling. He doesn't start high-fiving everyone. He doesn't start calculating the profit from this massive catch. No, he falls on his knees. His first response isn't joy, it's awe. It's fear. He immediately gets that this wasn't just a lucky break. He knows he's in the presence of something holy, and it makes him feel completely overwhelmed.
Peter's reaction is our first really big clue that we're dealing with something more than just a big catch of fish. This whole event is part of a bigger pattern. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the whole picture.
So get this, across the Gospels, we have records of 37 distinct miracles. And that's not even counting all the times the text just casually says he healed many people. So right away, we know we're not looking at random one-off events. This is something that happens again and again, which of course leads to the big question, why?
Well, the people who wrote these accounts had a specific word for these events. They didn't just call them wonders or miracles. A lot of the time, especially in the Gospel of John, they called them signs. And what does a sign do? It points to something else, right? A stop sign isn't just a red octagon, it points to an action you need to take. In the same way, these miracles were seen as signs, pointing to a much, much deeper truth.
And you know, John's Gospel doesn't even make us guess what that deeper truth is. He comes right out and tells us. He basically gives us a thesis statement for his entire book, saying, look, these signs were written down for one specific reason, so that you would believe who Jesus is. This isn't just storytelling. He's literally laying out his evidence, building a case for the reader. And if you look closely, these signs fall into some pretty clear categories. You've got miracles over nature, like our fish story, miracles of healing, showing power over sickness. There are exorcisms, showing authority over spiritual forces, miracles of provision, like feeding thousands of people. And then, of course, the ultimate sign, resurrection, power over death itself. Each one is another piece of the puzzle, another part of the argument. So let's take that idea, that framework, and go back to our story.
All right, so if this insane catch of fish was a sign, then what was it pointing to? What's the hidden message in all those fish? Well, it seems to be doing two major things at the exact same time.
On one hand, you have this undeniable demonstration of authority over the created world, pure power. But on the other hand, and this is maybe even more important, it's a symbolic act. It's a call to a completely new mission. This wasn't just about showing what he could do. It was about changing their entire lives.
Let's dig into that first layer. Think about it. By just speaking and causing a massive school of fish to swim into a net, Jesus was basically showing that he has complete command over the natural world. For fishermen whose entire lives are spent at the mercy of the weather and the randomness of the sea, this would have been mind-blowing. It was a sign that he operated by a different set of rules than the rest of the world. But showing off his power was only part of the equation. In fact, you could say the miracle itself wasn't even the main event. It was just the setup. It was the opening act for a conversation that was about to change everything for Peter and the others and give them a brand new mission.
And this is it. This is the pivot point for the whole story. Jesus takes the miracle they just witnessed and connects it directly to their future. He looks at what they are, fisherman and totally redefines it. He's basically saying, you see this incredible power that just filled your nets? That's the power we're now going to use for a completely different kind of fishing.
So here's the bottom line. The miracle wasn't the end of the story, it was the invitation. The sign did two things. It revealed an identity, this is someone with authority over creation, and then it immediately demanded a response. Peter and his friends had a choice to make. They could take their boat-sinking catch of fish and go back to their old lives, or they could leave it all right there on the beach and follow this person into a completely new purpose.
And that brings us right back to where we started. If a miracle is a sign that points toward a new purpose, how does that change how we see things? What if the point of a sign isn't just to be seen, but to be followed? It's a pretty big question to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.